Anastasia here, and today we're going to paint birds on a wire. It's for all ages, and here's what you need. You need your canvas of choice. You need a paint palette. You're going to want at least 4 to 5 colors. So definitely white, definitely black, maybe a yellow or an orange. And then we need something that's going to represent the sky. So I'm doing a light blue. You could create light blue. You could use dark blue, whatever color you want, okay? And then you're going to need at least 3 other colors of your choosing. You're also going to need one big brush, one medium brush, and one small brush. And you will need a glass of water to rinse your brushes off in. Okay, let's start painting. So the first thing we're going to paint is the sky. So I'm going to paint this whole thing one color. I'm going to paint it with my light blue. So you're going to use your big brush and start painting. This is such a fun piece for me because you can have a lot of fun with it in the sense that once you see it finished, it's kind of fun, it's kind of cartoony, but it's got a great message as well. So just like in my previous posts, I always paint the sides. This way you don't have to frame it if you don't want to, and it still looks polished and finished. So painting. I hope you guys are holding up during this time of quarantine. My kiddo just started online classes and they're definitely working out their tweaks. I don't think he was so excited for school to start back up since we've had 2 weeks off, but he's getting lots of exercise, doing housework and yard work and all that fun stuff. All right. Remember, the thicker you put it on, the longer it takes to dry. So really try to thin out those thicker spots if you can by trying to get the paint on as evenly as possible. And I picked up a little dirt from my easel there. I guess it's not dirt, it's just old paint. You don't have to use an easel. You can if you want. You can also do this just flat on a desk, on a drop cloth on the floor. And I'm just moving some of this paint around that's thicker in some areas just to make it real even throughout. Remember, if your paint starts to get too thick, you can add just a little bit of water and that will help. Helps to thin it out a little bit. So I'm going to turn it and finish getting this side here. Okay, now that we got the back finished, we're going to take a short break, and this is where you can pause the video until your paint completely dries, and then we'll add the next layer. If it's not completely smooth and it's kind of splotchy, sometimes acrylic paint can do that, go ahead and let it dry, make sure it's totally dry, and then add one more coat. If you don't let it dry completely, what will happen when you add that second coat is it will go pick the wet paint up underneath and peel it off, and it makes it real patchy. So let it completely dry. If you got it on thick enough the first time, that's great. If not, go ahead and put on another coat, and I'll see you guys in a few minutes. Okay, now that our canvas is dried, we're going to move on to the next step. So we're going to make a wire for our bird to stand on. I prefer to use black. You don't have to use black, but you can. And then you're going to use your smaller brush. So I'm going to add a little bit of water to my brush, just to make it run a little bit smoother, because the thinner the paint, the smoother it runs, okay? So I'm gonna go, you can go anywhere sort of within the middle here. I'm just gonna kind of go straight across. It doesn't have to be perfect. Obviously mine's not gonna be, but that's okay. It looks like I got into a little bit of wet paint, so maybe I didn't wait quite long enough, but that's okay. It's still gonna look really cool when I'm done. So create your line all the way across. Again, I'm just going back in to fill it in a little bit, make it look a little more solid. This will be my wire for my birds to stand on. Okay, so there's my wire. Now we want to add our birds. This is very easy. We're going to take our medium-sized brush, and you're gonna start just adding birds. You can add 20 birds, you can add 4 birds, you can do whatever you want. I'm gonna add 4, but so what you need to do is pick which color you wanna start with. I'm gonna go with red because I love red. And all you have to do is create a circle. So paint a circle on there. And I think I'm gonna make my circle a little bit bigger. Maybe I want a little fat circle. Okay, and then we're gonna color it in. There we go. So there's my circle, and it doesn't have to be perfect, so don't worry about that. Now I'm gonna clean my brush, and I'm gonna get a different color. So now I'm gonna go with yellow. And I'm gonna do one more circle. I might do this one just a little bit smaller, right next to the sky. They don't have to be all the exact same size. And because yellow is so light, it may not come out bright the first time. You might have to do 2 coats on this guy, okay? So I'll get it coated, and then I'll let it sit there and dry for a minute while I add the others, okay? So I'm gonna wash my brush. Take as much time as you need to create your circles. And this one, I think I will make purple. I'm actually gonna make one underneath the wire. So I'm gonna put him right here. Your guys can be as close together as you want, as far apart as you want. This is entirely up to you. So I'm gonna paint my third one down here. All right, and while that dries, I'm gonna create a 4th bird. Again, you can do as many birds as you want, okay? And I think I'll do teal on this one. So I'm gonna create him over here. I'm gonna make him a big guy. So color your circle in. All right. Now, while we're waiting for those to dry, we can go back with our small brush. And what you're hearing is me switching out my brushes out of my water. Make sure your brushes are clean. And I'm gonna go back to black. So, I'm getting a little bit of black. I watered it down so it's thinner. And now I'm gonna create some little legs, okay? Coming down to my wire. This guy is going to be hanging upside down. Okay, these are still drying, so add coats as you need. And I'll go ahead and show you the next step, and then we'll take a a real break for it to completely dry. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna outline where my eyes are gonna be. So I'm gonna draw two big circles. I like great big eyes. I think it makes them fun. Oops. They don't even have to be the same size eyes. That's okay. You're gonna just have some fun. So we're just outlining at the moment, okay? I'm gonna make this one great big. And two more eyes here. And the last one. So we're just making circles. Okay, before I can do my next step, I need to let this completely dry. So again, go dance, go have fun, pause the video, go get a glass of water, drink your water, wash your hands. It's real important. And we'll be back as soon as it dries. Okay, and we are back. So we have let our paint dry and we're ready for the next step. So now get your medium-sized brush and we're going to use white. We're gonna start painting the eyes. So where we did these what look like glasses, these circles, we're gonna fill those in with white. If you go over the black a little bit, that's okay. You can always re-outline it later. Not a big deal. And create some big wide eyes. So do that for each one. What's cool about acrylic, I went down just a little bit low, but what's cool about acrylic paint is as soon as it dries, you can paint right over it. So if you don't like something, you can always paint right over the top of it. So I'm curious if you guys did a dance break. I did a dance break in my very first video. I even danced, and then I thought, uh-oh, I don't want to get in trouble with copyright, and I'm not sure what songs I can use. So that's why I didn't offer a dance break within my video. But I hope you did some dancing today, because moving your body makes you feel good. All right, I'm getting my eyes in here. I'm trying to stay out of your way at the same time so you can see what's going on. Okay, and my last bird. If you did 20 birds, you're gonna have a lot more to cover. And again, if you go over the black, totally okay. You can redraw it in later, okay? And I did because I'm trying to do this from the side. So there you go. If it's not thick enough, again, let this dry. You can go back in and add another layer, okay? So while we're waiting for that, go rinse your brush. Always rinse your brush after you're done with it, because if you don't, the paint will dry in your brush and ruin it. All right, now I'm gonna go back to my small brush. With my small brush, I'm actually gonna use orange. So I'm gonna add a little water because my paint's drying out just a little bit. And we'll thicken that back up. or thinning it out with some water. Then right between the eyes, all I'm gonna do is draw an upside down triangle. So there is my triangle, kind of like a diamond, I guess. Almost, not quite. You guys know what triangles are. So that's gonna be our little beak. And for my guy who's down here hanging upside down, we're gonna do a triangle the right way. Okay. Again, you have to wait till things dry. It can be very hard sometimes to be patient, but being an artist requires a little bit of patience. So while we're letting this dry for a minute, there's lots of things that we could do. Dance break. Anybody dance? You could write down 10 things that you're grateful for. So sit down while you're waiting for this to dry and just list out 10 things you're grateful for. It keeps you in a good frame of mind, and it's a great way to spend a few minutes just being in a happy place while your painting is drying. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to add a little more orange just to brighten it up. I actually have a fan on because it's so humid here in Kansas City that my paint is not drying. So that it would dry a little bit faster, I just put a fan on. Okay. Now I'm going to clean my brush. So clean it off in water. In my water cup, you might run it along the bottom just to get the extra paint off. And then you want to wipe that excess water off on something. I tend to use my apron. If you don't have an apron, then use a cloth. Okay, then go back to your black. And this is where we're going to have the eyes looking. So I'm going to have this guy looking at this guy, which means I'm just going to put a dot right here. And I want it in the exact same place on this side. So it kind of looks like he's looking that way, right? I'm going to make that dot just a tiny bit bigger. The fan is blowing my paint. Probably should turn that off. Okay, now I want this guy to be looking down there. So again, put them in the exact spot so they don't look cross-eyed. Then I'm going to have this guy looking back up there. So I'm going to set this here. And my last guy, I'm going to have him looking down here as well at this guy, which means I would put the eyes pointing down here. Look how fun that is. So now this is where you can add your embellishments. For the most part, you're done. I'm going to go through and just do things like thicken up the legs a little bit, make them look a little more strong. You could always put little hooked feet over the edge if you wanted. Totally up to you. I'm also going to re-outline the eyes just to make them really pop. That contrast of black to white will really make that pop and look nice and bright. And then I'm also going to outline the beak, just because, again, it offers that much more color. See how that brightens everything up? And it gives it definition. Does make it look a little more cartoonish, but I think that's okay. And let me tell you about the reason I decided to put this guy upside down. So, I think this is a fun message, and that's that it's okay to be different. You don't have to be like everybody else. You can do your own thing and just be different. It's okay. You can be weird, you can be different. My son has always said, he's been raised by an artist, remember, and whenever he says, Mom, I just don't feel like I'm like other kids, I'm like, that's okay, because being different is okay. Being like everybody else is boring. So it's okay to be different. Now, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna do touch-ups. This is where you're gonna do your own touch-ups. You could add more birds if you wanted. You could put closer together. You could put clouds in if you wanted. We could even do something fun, like I could add some eyelashes here. Let me get a little more black. Makes his eyes pop. That's kind of fun. So any little things like that you can do. You can also outline the outside of the bird just to make the color pop even more. So I'm going to create an outline here. Again, it makes it a little more cartoonish, but it also makes it a lot of fun to look at visually because it makes them really stand out against the background. Again, if your paint gets a little bit thick, go ahead and water it down with a little bit of water. In fact, I'm going to do that right now. You don't have to hang one guy upside down if you don't want to. That would be fine too. I just like the way it looks. One other thing you could do if you wanted, if you liked this, is you could put a positive message here, like friends stick together, or maybe I'm going to write be different. You don't have to be like everybody else. You could put your own little inspirational message there. Be different, be weird. You could put, there's always that one guy. You can play with this and make it your own. I'm gonna go ahead and outline this. And then one last thing I want to do, and I want to show you before I sign off here, is I'm going to go get just a tiny bit of white with my light brush, or with my little brush, so just a little bit of white. And I'm going to add just a hint of white, just a little on each side, the same side on all of them, beak. And that just shows, it looks like light's bouncing off of it, just gives it a little more dimension. There you go. So be different, make your own, have fun with it, and please post pictures when you're done. I would love to see what you guys come up with. So go create and have a great day.